Welcome to Salem Gray's Straight Jacket Cafe. I'm your twisted yet always pleasant host, Salem Gray. So I thought today we would cover some things that might make your skin crawl, which that's the whole point of this video. We will explore 19 brutal murder cases. Yeah, those are always fun to look at. Let's see, what else are we going to explore today? Ooh, tell us more. Tell us more. What shall we know? Other things you will know. We're going to cover shock sites. I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you the resources of all the shock sites out there according to Wikipedia. We're going to cover one shock site in particular, Bonsai Kitten. That's an interesting one. And the 4chan murder suspect surrenders to police. But first, we'll go to the murder cases site because that's where we should begin. First of all, I'm going to check the celebrity obits to see what's going on. While I'm doing that, I'll tell you that for any amount on Patreon, you get bonus episodes and stuff. If you want to know more in detail about any of these cases, for any donation on Patreon, Adventurous Insanity is the name of the Patreon. You can get special bonus material for a monthly payment of $5. You get all kinds of interesting things. It's $5, and plus subscribe to my channel. If I said podcast, I've been kind of hitting it hard today. But yeah, I could definitely help you out. More of these, make a private video, invite you to the video. There we go. Okay, so basically checking celebrity obits. Also, you can find this particular YouTube channel on Facebook. Just look for Salem Gray's Straight Jacket Cafe. And whenever you get around to it, make sure you just spread the word. Just spread it, spread it, spread it. We are always also hoping to find the right material to entertain you. I always am. Simply email me realmofnightmares@mail.com. Attention Salem Gray or Salem Gray Straight Jacket Cafe. As long as it contains the word Salem, the name Salem, the term Salem, whatever you want to call it, in the subject, I'd appreciate it, because I have 4 YouTube channels and 3 podcasts that I do on a daily basis, and quite frankly, I, with the exception of this evening, not doing any because I am having visits from family. So yeah, tonight there won't be a video. Probably till tomorrow night there will be a video. It is 1:20 a.m. here in Lawton, Oklahoma. Weather's nice outside, a little bit of wind tonight. Everything's cool. So yeah, like I said, let's go to BuzzFeed's website for these 19 brutal murder cases that'll scare you to death. I paraphrase the subject line because, So basically, here we go. The BuzzFeed community was polled and asked to tell the story or to make aware to the rest of the internet the most gory and horrifying murder cases they've ever heard of. Now, I, for one, am excited to have found this. And, oh yeah, it puts a disclaimer warning, this post contains very disturbing stories and images. Continue at your own discretion. Okay, yeah. I think I will, and I think I'll kind of just go on a fourth and do this. Once again, if you're under 18 and you're hearing this, I tell you, these might be some things that you just don't want to hear. Yeah, I'm well aware that there are people under 18 probably watching this video. So, uh, you know, you were warned. I'm not responsible for your behavior if you get any ideas. So, anyway, we go first, number one, to Tamara Samsonova, aka the Granny Ripper. All right. So, this chick, the 68-year-old Russian woman, murdered and ate at least 11 people and kept a diary where she detailed her crimes. At least 11. Interesting. At least. Which means, guess what? They haven't got a final body count yet, which means this chick might have given John Wayne Gacy a run for his money on victim count. How much you want to bet? And later we'll get to a guy that puts all of them to shame combined. But anyway, so uh, she kept this journal where she detailed her crimes. I think that's might be where Bob Berdella kind of got his deal. You should look him up. He's pretty creepy. So she killed her friend Valentina Ulanova by drugging her salad with sleeping pills, and while she was still alive, used a handsaw to dismember her. Slow, painful, and not cool. The next person rather. Hmm. Number two, we have Isai Sagawa. Sagawa. Thank you. I did not say that right. This guy was kind of twisted. Let's see here. He was, I think I heard of this guy before. Yeah, I think I have. This guy was pretty weird. I heard about him prior to reading this article about him. So, yes, there's all kinds of um, extreme extreme problems this guy had. This Japanese fell for a woman named Renee Hartfelt while he was in France and invited her over to where he was staying. And so while she's there, he sneaks up behind her and just shoots her in the head. And then he decided to eat her flesh for 3 days until he was caught in a park with 2 suitcases filled with the dismembered body parts. Some people have issues. Number three is Stone Cold Dead in the Ground. Thank God, hallelujah. Lisa Montgomery. You heard about this girl. She is psycho on a stick, on steroids, hell on wheels when it comes to psycho levels. Montgomery, she had lost kids since 2004. It's 2004 she lost she lied constantly about being pregnant and losing her babies. That's what I meant to say. This reminds me of a certain somebody else who used to lie about everything. And, she used to say, oh, I'm pregnant. That same thing Lisa Montgomery did. Me, they're on the same level. I wouldn't even put this past someone else either. In 2004, she befriends this pregnant lady named Bobby Jo Stinnett. Shows up at her house, strangles her with a rope, cut open her belly, and took out her baby. Right? She wanted the baby, so she basically does this cesarean kidnap move. So Bobby Jo was only passed out, and when she woke up, she sees this lady, Lisa, with her kid in her arms or something. I don't know where she had it. And so, talk about a mother's devotion even to a child that she had not yet pushed from her loins. She wrestles Lisa to get the child away from her, but Lisa in turn kills her, which is really horrible. As a matter of fact, Lisa Montgomery got what was coming to her, as she's been executed as of probably a few months at least. I'm going to go ahead and say a few months. It's a guesstimate, but I believe she has been executed. And I think that was probably the most fitting punishment is death. Because that's a very heinous act and a very desperate act. Anyway, number four, if you know anything about serial killers, this next name's going to ring a bell. H.H. Holmes. Yes, the guy who built this who got this place. I don't know. Maybe he built the thing. I don't know. He designed it. Yeah, he designed it. So basically, the hallways were like mazes, and the rooms were built airtight. And we wonder why, because this is where he murdered people uh, with gas, I believe, like noxious, poisonous gas. And then after they were dead, um, there was a large chute, and the bodies were dropped into a vat of acid, which is pretty bad, if you ask me. So anyway, so he would hide the bodies in the walls too. Come on, man. That's just horrible. But it's also genius if you're going to take that route. He was also in medical school. He befriended the janitor. Janitor befriended him. Anyway, the two of them became friends and ended up cueing him in on the ability to dig up bodies and sell them, make some money, and it's just all deal. And some people think that medical school, which back then cost $200 a year, I think, I'm not sure, basically was, well, responsible for it because you have to count cadavers and everything else. And, they think that's what ultimately turned him into a killer. I guess I'll do a product plug because I'm thirsty. Diet Mountain Dew. Hey, it's green, and green is in. Green means go, and green is also the color of envy, which I believe this guy, yeah, this guy is the envy of every sick and twisted person who has ever violated a woman in any way, shape, or form. This guy, number 5, David Parker Ray, aka the Toy Box Killer. This guy was sick as sick gets. The reason why he's called the Toy Box Killer is he had a decked out chamber he called the Toy Box, filled with chains, whips, and even saws. But hey, there's no actual proof he killed anyone. He's presumed to have murdered over 60 women. No proof. No proof at all. This ex guy, pretty sick. Greyhound bus murder. Yeah. This guy decides while he's on a Greyhound bus to stab and behead 22-year-old Tim McLean. He proceeds to sever the rest of the body parts and eat them in front of passengers. He was found not criminally responsible due to mental illness and is currently free. Oh boy. Wow. Okay. This guy murders somebody, eats them on a bus in front of a lot of people. And I'm going to assume nobody said a word, they were too scared, or the bus driver just didn't pull over. But yet, to even say that, he's not criminally responsible, let him walk free. Yeah, okay. Something's messed up. I covered this in a podcast earlier. Number 7 is Villisca Axe Murders. Okay, so Villisca is a place in Iowa. On the evening of June the 9th, in the morning of June 10th in 1912, 6 members of the well-liked Moore family and 2 of their guests were bludgeoned to death with an axe, and their faces were covered with their clothing. There were quite a few suspects, but the crime remains unsolved. Yeah. So next we have a lovely, beautiful couple. At number 8, Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. this is a very twisted thing. They're rich, they're good looking, but they're murderers. Yeah, quite twisted too. They raped and murdered 3 women, and one just happened to be Homoka's little sister. And what better way to tell your significant other you love them than to give your little sister to them as a Christmas present? And then record this joyous event after you've drugged, raped, and left her for dead. Yeah, that's really just, no. Christopher Porco. This guy comes in at number 9. And this guy was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Um, in 2004, not that long ago, Porco's dad's blood-soaked body was found in his home. His mom was in bed. Her face was mutilated, but she was asleep. And apparently their son had done it with a fireman's axe, right? So he had forged signatures for college loans and a new Jeep on their names, on their credit, and they didn't like it. They weren't happy. So he did what any, you know, good son would do. He murdered him without conscience. And I think that he's actually kind of smirking in his mugshot. Stood about, I don't know, just really bad, you know. Next we have Carl Panzram. Or Panzram, rather. Carl Panzram. And he looks kind of sadistic. And actually, he would fit the profile of a psychopath, really. He had no remorse, really. Panzram said he killed over 21 people and sodomized over 1,000 boys and men. Eat your heart out, John Wayne Gacy. One of his most brutal murders occurred in the 1920s, not the 2020s, although we wouldn't be surprised with the way everything's gone, when he hired 6 men to work on a boat with him in Angola. And so, at which point, he shoots him dead and feeds him to the crocodiles. So he wrote this autobiography, and he wrote, "For all these things, I am not the least bit sorry." Interesting, right? This next one hits really close to home. Number 11, Brenda Andrew. Brenda Andrew. She's cute, but she's also psycho. 2001 was a pretty, I think after 2000, a lot of things just fell apart. In 2001, an Oklahoma woman convinced her husband to up his life insurance policy. That's never a good thing. Never a good thing. So after he did it, she had an affair with this guy who worked for the insurance company. Then after it took effect and matured, she decided to shoot her husband in the neck and torso with a rifle until he bled out. So she's currently the only woman on death row in Oklahoma, which I'm in Lawton right now, Lawton, Oklahoma. It's an interesting little thing. And, the thing is, I'm just severely... I've seen a lot of things hit close to home. This next one as well. I was born in Pasadena outside of Houston, Texas. Yes, thank you. This is pretty bad. So we have Dean Corll, Corll, in the Houston mass murders. This is pretty bad. So Dean Corll, Elmer Wayne Henley Jr., and David Brooks kidnapped, tortured, and killed 28 boys from 1970 and 1973. Each victim was either strangled to death or shot, and the murders were referred to as the worst in American history at the time. I guess they overlooked some others. The murder spree ended up coming to an end when Henley brutally shot Corll to death. There's no honor among thieves, This next guy, number 13, lucky number 13. He should be so proud of himself for being 13 on this list. The Beast of the Ukraine or the Terminator. We're not talking about Schwarzenegger. We're talking about You Better Hope I Don't Come Back. Right? So Anatoly Omprienko would travel the countryside of the Ukraine for one reason only, just to find a house and slaughter everyone in it. So after he'd do this happened from 1989 to 1996. He ends up stealing things from the victims after he killed them and gifting them to his fiancée. That's where her engagement ring came from. Yeah, I wonder how she took it. Number 14, she's cute, but stay away from her. Mary Bell. The photo of her is probably when she got released in the 80s, early 80s. It was 1980 when she got released or something. No, it was in the 80s. But this lady has an awfully lengthy history, dating back to when she was 10 years old. She basically committed her first murders by strangling a 4-year-old boy. Well, year after that, she had an accomplice when she strangled a 3-year-old boy. So her method was to strangle. That is itchy. But yeah, the second murder, she had an accomplice, and they carved their initials on the boy's body, and to add insult to injury, chopped off his private parts. But she was released in 80 something. Now lives in England under a new name. She could be anybody. They released her for whatever reason, we don't know. It gave her a new identity. I don't know what's going on. Next, number 15, the Toolbox Killers. We have Lawrence S. Bittaker and Roy Lewis Norris. So, at first glance at these guys, Lawrence S. Bittaker, he looks like he's got a lot going on. So does Roy Lewis Norris. Looks like he's got a lot going on. At first glance, you just don't trust them. So in 1979, these two guys kidnapped, raped, and murdered 5 teenage girls in Southern California. One a month, I guess. 5 over 5 months. And the items they used to torture these poor girls were tools you would find in your own garage. So you think about it, anyone with anything in the garage, screwdrivers, saws, chainsaws, axes, whatever have you, yeah, it's pretty, leaves a lot to the imagination, and it was horrible. Shame on both of them. I don't know. Doesn't say whatever happened to them. I know they were arrested, obviously, but beyond that, I haven't the foggiest if they're still alive or not. Next up, 16 out of 19, Carla Faye Tucker. For some reason, this girl sounds very familiar in name. And I guess we'll find out how. She and her boyfriend broke into a friend's house one night in 1983, and while there, her boyfriend hit her friend in the head with a hammer. So, he started making gurgling noises. What do you think she did after that, right? This annoyed the girl, Carla Faye Tucker. So she grabs a pickaxe and slaughtered the 2 residents in the home and was executed in 1998 by lethal injection. That's why I know that name, because she was executed. A lot of noises made about it being the being slaughtered, executed rather. That she was first one to be executed in quite a while, or something, or years. Big deal. Big story. 17, we're getting to the bottom of the barrel now with Edward Kemper, aka the co-ed killer. And he looks pretty miserable, like. Anyway, so this guy brutally kills 6 female students, 2 of his grandparents, and his mom. Did this all by the age of 24. He found the 6 girls in the mountains of California, decapitated them, and had sex with their corpses. Oh, necrophiliac, isn't that great? As for his mom, he killed her with a claw hammer and had sex with her head. Then he called the cops, turned himself in. Well, he did one thing right, you know. Number 18, next to the last. Candace Newmaker's murder. And she's something else. Yeah. So, this is sad. It involves a child, as if the others haven't, in some cases, involved a child. But in 2000, there was a 10-year-old girl named Candace who had been adopted. She was taken to intensive therapy to help cope with being torn apart from her biological parents. During a rebirthing section, which I don't know what on earth that is, I don't even know if I want to know. This is in 2000, so I guess this is some of that new psychology that's supposed to help instead hurts, probably. So they wrapped her in flannels to represent a womb and then instructed her to free herself. And the therapist is to blame. She screamed and vomited, and she couldn't escape while the therapist said, "Do you want to die? Okay, then die." And it was, what's worse is it was transcribed up to the moment where she suffocated. And so, this therapist, I really do hope that she, or that he, she, whatever, is getting a fitting punishment, especially in the afterlife, where may that person be raped by demons for all eternity. And, you know. Number 19, the final one. We have a young lady, Sylvia Likens. And the person involved, Gertrude Banaszewski. I don't really know if I want to know the nationality, because right now I'm kind of foggy on that. I like to guess nationalities by last names. That's kind of like my thing. But anyway, in October of 1965, police found a teenage girl named Sylvia Likens starved and lifeless. She was dead, pretty much. She was tortured by hundreds of burns and deep cuts. The attack was led by Gertrude Banaszewski, a woman Likens was staying with the help of Likens' friend's boyfriend, and even her sister. So I don't know which of these are the most horrific stories you've ever heard. Be sure that you check out the link, and also to these, I'll include it. Thank you, BuzzFeed, for a wonderful article. As always, they have plenty of wonderful, wonderful articles that they put out. And it's just simply a delightful list. Learned a little something, and that's all that we can ask for, is to learn something. Especially from the mistakes of other people who are lacking a lot of smarts. So that concludes the list. And, those of you who like the darker side of things on the internet, I'm sure you're very familiar with shock sites if you're my kind of people. These includes One Lunatic, One Ice Pick, Two Girls, One Cup, Best Gore, Encyclopedia Dramatica, Goza.cx, Gorgrish.com, Hunting for Bambi, Ogrish.com, stuff like that. I'm sure you've heard of these things once or twice, maybe even visited them. And my personal favorite is Best Gore, personally. I wanted to cover one of the shock sites. I'll be covering these, probably one today. The one that caught my eye that I found kind of, I never even heard of really, was Bonsai Kitten. It's kind of an interesting little thing. It was a hoax website, okay? It claimed to provide instructions on how to raise a kitten in a jar, so as to mold the bones of the kitten into the shape of the jar as the cat grows, much like a bonsai plant is shaped. It's made by an MIT student going by the alias of Dr. Michael Wong Chang, which I think I heard of this guy. So anyway, a lot of people were pissed off, the general public, animal rights, the Michigan Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or MSPCA, and they say that even though it's fake, it might cue violence towards animals. And unfortunately, you can't see it now because it's shut down, and petitions are still circulating. Shut down the site or complain to its ISP. The website has been debunked by several organizations, including the ever-famous Snopes.com and the Humane Society of the United States. Now, why, oh why? Well, what's the history of this, right? So October 30th, 2000, BonsaiKitten.com was featured as a cruel site of the day on website cruel.com. I might go to that. Cruel.com sounds pretty good. When this attracted complaints, Cruel.com removed its links to BonsaiKitten.com. Afterwards, however, when links to BonsaiKitten.com website spread worldwide, there were a lot of people that hit the alarm. And it was actually hosted by MIT, and there was a petition for them to remove it. And so a description of the spoof is Cube Watermelon, who, for example, this supposedly influenced the BonsaiKitten.com website. Cube watermelons are grown in jars so as to give them a square shape. So BonsaiKitten.com pictures showed putting kittens in jars, presented real examples of the lost art as described in the Bonsai Kitten webpage. The spoof, according to Dr. Chang, is that the world increasingly sees nature as a commodity, so such a site may be well in demand, and it had a lot of attention. And so that was the whole thing. It got taken down, basically. A lot of animal groups. You know, I think sometimes that there's websites that do deserve to be taken down. And, I mean, this would obviously, I'm a cat person, so obviously this draws a lot of disgust as well from me. Because really, I don't think that I should be able to Google something like this and that website still be in operation. It would be very disturbing to me. Also, in news of a quite a quite the shocking thing. Actually, this came out in 2014. This report, I believe. If I'm mistaken, this was a couple of days ago that they caught this guy. If not, then I don't know. It looks like... Oh no, hold on, because I'm getting two different dates on this. Earlier when I Googled this, it said about what would now be 3 days ago. This was in U.S. News on NBC News. This is dressed as 2014, which is not accurate, I don't believe. Hold on. If not, let's see here. Okay, so February. Shoot. Hold on a second, y'all. I could have sworn it was different. First of all, a little bit of a background on this guy. Uh, the 4chan serial killer, right? So this guy getting all these multiple conflicting things. Let's just remember when this dude was caught, okay? So this 4chan serial killer, I go to Reddit's website where they have there was a 4chan post, yes. Okay. So this guy was playing a game on the internet, and we're not talking about saw I want to play a game. We're talking about an actual real life game where this guy killed multiple women, posting their pictures if he guessed right and all this. So people guessed, and he would post these pictures and everything else of the victims alive, dying, and post-death. Post-mortem, And, he ends up getting caught years later. Ends up, see, this says 5 days ago. So, there's all kinds of things on Reddit. All kinds of stuff on Reddit on serial killers. You should go to serial killers on Reddit. I cannot believe that I totally got conflicting dates. That's kind of no, just no. Anyway, this is the last story of the thing. We're already 37 minutes in, pretty much. So anyway, this guy killed his living girlfriend. Posted a picture of her body online. Turned himself in to police in Oregon, and so this guy surrenders in the evening in Wilsonville, about 20 minutes southwest of Portland, and was cooperating with investigators. So this 33-year-old guy throws his life away by killing his living girlfriend. Smart. Smart, smart, smart. Thing is, why would he do it? So he was basically charged with second-degree murder involving domestic violence after the body of Amber Lynn Copeland, 30 years old. The 30-year-olds. 10 years younger than me. Anyway, her body was discovered in the apartment where she shared with her boyfriend in Port Orchard, Washington. And I don't know if this is, my gosh. Copeland's driver's license was found next to her head with the word dead scrawled over it. So the Kitsap Sheriff's deputies said it was a probable cause affidavit. The statement, "She killed me first," was written on the bedroom wall, and "bad news" was written in the window blinds. And that was documented in the document the investigators drew up. Some even believe the first 911 call, a person claiming to be the killer posted a photo of a woman's naked body with red marks around her neck on the online forum 4chan, along with the chilling message, "Turns out it's way harder to strangle someone to death than it looks on the movies." So I was wrong. This is not that 4chan killer. I hope they catch that guy. Not the guy who played the game. I'll cover him another time, though, I promise. Or her way. It's a he. It's a he. We know it's a he. Anyway, so the website is in the same forum with hundreds of nude photos of celebrities. Hey, can't argue with that, right? Post nude photos in a naked celebrities forum. So 4chan, your source for nude celebs. Let's see. The online photos match the crime scene. The images circulated online and matched the deceased female trauma we observed in the residence interior. The affidavit said after the first photos were posted, the person claiming to be the killer replied in the comments who doubted the story. And he said, quote, check the news for Port Orchard, Washington in a few hours. Her son will be home from school soon. He'll find her and then call the cops. I just wanted to share the pics before they find me. Investigators said Copeland's body was found by her teenage son, who called his father to the scene around 2:50 p.m., at which point his father called 911. So this guy, he's sitting on a park bench. The guy they apprehended, he's got a goatee. It's kind of long, you know. That's it, just a goatee, no mustache. Like me, except he's got that goatee right there. And he's got his eyes closed, and he doesn't look the least bit, you know, least bit sorry. So who is this douchebag? David Michael Kalak. And he's shown in custody of the Wilsonville, Oregon PD on a Wednesday night. So, on top of that, Copland's 2001 Ford Focus was missing, as well as the keys. And Kolek's clothes and personal electronics, including his laptop and cell phone, were missing. So investigators said they were able to trace his cell phone. 6:20 a.m. Tuesday, he sent 2 texts to his friend. The first read, is all now. Basically, shit is all fucked now. You'll see me in the news in second part. There'll be no more me ever. You'll read about it. That's all. 19 hours later, about 1:15 a.m., on a Wednesday, Copeland's car was spotted in Portland, police said, and the Portland police said a driver believed to be Kalak was pulled over during a traffic stop and then suddenly roared off in the 2001 Focus. They pursued him across a bridge and down a major road before calling off the chase when the driver began swerving into oncoming traffic. That was in Portland. And the neighbors were horrified by the killing of Copeland, who was described as quiet and sweet. So, what do you think would be a fitting punishment for this douchebag, Mr. David Michael Kalak? Douchebag, moron, and no longer a problem. What I say is, you do not give this boy 3 square meals a day. You release him in general population. You know, you release him in the prison system. Release him in the population in prison. Let them do their job. And boom, not an issue anymore. But, you know, the thing is, that's just what everyone is probably thinking for the whole thing. I don't quite know what to think personally about people who are like this in this whole thing. It's very, you know, this boy has a lot of enemies, I can guarantee you that. And I do hope that he gets what he deserves. Kind of curious. I'm going to Google this guy up, see what happened to him. So yeah, there's a Zelichko Kalak. He's a basketball player. Tall dude, too. Tall, gangly figure. All this. Okay, Kalak out. Roma in. Yeah, it's more sports stuff. Let me see. I'll add 4chan Killer to the list. And it's past 2 a.m. I should really get some rest. So anyway, following up on this, um, he did indeed get what he wanted, or what he deserved rather, and he got this was uh, published May 16th of 2017 at the golden time of 3:20 p.m. It was 4:20 somewhere, I guess. Where Collect, this guy, got 82 years for the murder of Amber Copeland. Pretty cool. Basically, the charges were uh, the charges he was found guilty on were first-degree murder, uh, and the fact he strangled and posted the pictures on 4chan is just deplorable. So basically, the judge, Jeanette Dalton, sentenced David Kolek to 2 years in prison after a jury convicted him first-degree murder for strangling and posting gruesome photos of his ex-girlfriend Amber Copeland on the internet. So the judge urged him to better himself while in prison. And he did apologize, though. He did apologize. Oh, I'm sorry I murdered her. Yeah, he's not sorry, otherwise he wouldn't have done it. And Copeland's loved ones wore purple in her honor as they described their grief to Dalton, the judge. A juror who attended the sentencing said that he believes the jury reached the correct verdict. He did not deny he killed Copeland, but argued that he was in the throes of severe alcoholism and remembered neither the lead up to Copeland's death nor his actions immediately afterward. And she was a pretty girl, too. Following Copeland's death, Clark wrote messages on the walls of her room and body. On November 4th of 2014, post photos to the website. He's turned to police the next day after fleeing to Oregon. And basically, of course, the defense tried to get a lesser crime of first-degree manslaughter. Yeah. This guy is 82 years in prison, which means he'll be about 115 when he gets out, I guess. I don't know. Either way, any amount of life this Joker has in him is far, far too much. He deserves to be completely and utterly, uh, taught a lesson by those among him. So anyway, what was your thoughts on the murders? The most gruesome murders, according to the BuzzFeed community of readers who were polled. What do you get when you ask a bunch of BuzzFeed audience members their opinion about um, the most gruesome and gory murders out there? Shocking, gory, gruesome murders. You get an article, the 19. Sorry, I had to yawn. It's late, it's after 2, so what? You get a list of the 19 most horrific crimes, according to the BuzzFeed community. And I'd just like to say the BuzzFeed community is sick, twisted, my kind of people. I learned some things. I'm glad I saw it. Anyway, so remember Patreon? Patreon account has been made. And we're looking at Patreon name of Adventurous Insanity. Yeah, Adventurous Insanity. And, I also have an email, realmofnightmares@mail.com, realmofnightmares@mail.com, all one word. No underscores, no nada, just realmofnightmares@mail, MAIL.com. I'm not that macho. And what else? Be sure to check out the page on Facebook for this. And just remember, come to my videos in good spirits, leave in even better spirits. Just make sure you're aware of the spirits around you. And, I'll be covering shock sites on a regular basis. I bookmarked the actual thing. Links are down below to everything that I've discussed. And this is pretty much. Boy, excuse me. Hey, after 2 a.m., I think I'm going to go to bed after this. I've been at this for 51 minutes in. Can I do an hour-long video and still keep your attention? No, the thing is, donate to my Patreon. If you email me, realmofnightmares@mail.com, which the email will be down in the description, simply just put it to the attention of Salem Gray's Stray Jack Cafe. Simply Salem Gray, Grey. For now, George Romero made a little thing called Dead Time Stories. You should check it out. I think I'll also review like a really brutal occult type satanic based movie, perhaps. I might discuss Hail Satan, that documentary, next, and that'll be a pretty big deal, a hot topic on the religious freedom. And I'd like to hear your opinion about what you liked about the video, what you hated most about the video, what you'd like to see more of, how much you love Diet Mountain Dew, and what you think about things in general. I want to also know your take on things. I don't do politics on here, and I don't do things that piss me off on here. And I only swear when the profanity's in the article. And so that's just me. Hopefully you'll be good and do good and keep in touch with me. And I will have word on a possible book that I'm starting. Of course, Salem Gray's a pen name. And so is Azrael King Capeta. I won't give out my real identity. Won't be that hard to figure out, though. So, also, anything that you can think of, any good movies, etc., email them to me. Let me know. This is Salem Gray saying, take care of yourself. And don't murder anybody either. It's not right. Not very nice. It hurts people. Bye.